Equal means excellence. That's the message from more than 400 people who gathered for Rockford's first summit on racism. 23 News reporter Jim Haggerty talks with leaders of Eliminate Racism 815 who share how racism affects our present and how we can improve the future.
Organizers of Thursday's summit say the first step to end racial disparities is to come together to learn about those disparities. And according to leaders, it's all too common for conversations about racism to end without any action.
So talking about racism can be incredibly difficult and tough for friends. It can be really difficult for communities.
But it doesn't have to be. Organizers of the 2023 Summit on Racism say change starts with understanding that racial disparities do exist, even right here in Rockford.
Especially in education, especially in economics, especially the way the city has been developed.
Auburn High School student Terry Horton says he sees those disparities every day. He says creating a more diverse teaching staff will help close those gaps.
Most of our black teachers are usually just like our gym teachers, but we don't have nobody to relate to in our classrooms.
Horton says he's fed up with hurtful racial stereotypes.
It's like they kind of seem like we're going to do bad in life, and they think that we're going to end up in jail just because of our skin color.
Summit organizers are tired of it too.
What we really want people to do is come together, a diversity of people.
Eliminate Racism 815 President Dick Rundle says when that starts happening, Rockford will see true change.
When we're around people who are different than us, who look different, think different, believe different things, we grow.
And we just need to all come together, all start having relationships, have conversations, and learn about different people and different things in their culture.
Summit organizers say Thursday's event won't solve the city's racial issues overnight, but it's a way to get people to think about Rockford as a healthy, ethnically diverse community.
Thursday's summit included keynote speeches, discussion panels, and workshops.